Now we're going to get it so that you can switch between the regular night vision, which is this one, or rather the regular vision, to the night vision viewport, which is through the night vision goggles. Okay, so this is relatively easy to do. Under the FPS controller on the hierarchy, you can see that we've got this camera main. Okay, if yours isn't called camera main, just ensure that it is set up with that name, just so that we know that this is the primary camera. It has the post-processing behavior of Horror Night, but we also have this Horror Night vision. Now there's no way that we can actually just change that profile using script, certainly not in post-processing version 1. I believe that you can in post-processing version 2, but we're not using that one at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this camera. So just select it, and it's Control and D, which is the shortcut. I'm just going to click duplicate, and I'm going to click and drag that one onto the camera main. Okay, I'm just going to change the name of this camera to Camera Night Vision. And obviously it's got everything attached to it, so we just need to click these and just delete those because we don't want any duplicates. Okay, so with the camera night vision, we can now click on this Horror Night post-processing and change it for the Horror Night vision. Alright, so now we've got two cameras set up. We can now just simply change between the cameras whenever we press the button. Now it is important that we change this depth. So the camera main is set at a depth of 0, which is the default value. Any number that is higher than 0, it's going to basically render that camera over it. So when I press 1 and I now go to my game scene, you can see it's now rendering the night vision. If I were to set this to like -1, it goes back to this. So I'm going to keep it at 1. And all we're going to do is basically just switch this camera on whenever we need it and off when we don't need it. Now it's quite important that I actually get rid of this audio listener on the camera night vision. So just remove component, right click and remove component. You don't really want two audio listeners. So if you've got two cameras that are active at the same time, Unity is actually receiving audio from both cameras. Not so bad if they're in the same place, but if they were in opposite places or somewhere different, it would be confusing for the player to be receiving loads of different sounds from different places. Okay, so that's all we need to do in order to set up our night vision. Now we need to control the script. So if we click on first person controller, we need to change this character controller motor script. So just double click on that to open it. Okay, so we're going to change this one. We can see that we've got a public game object cam. Well, we're just going to change this. I'm just going to press enter a couple of times, and I'm going to make this one private so that we don't have to change this in the inspector. And I'm going to create a couple of new public game objects. So public game object, and I'll call this one cam1. Okay, just highlight that, copy it, paste, and this one's obviously going to be cam2, so that's going to be the night vision camera. Now if you want to call that something different, like cam NV or something for night vision and camera M for main, it's up to you. Obviously you can do that. Alright, so that allows us then to assign each camera onto this script. We also need a boolean as well, so private bool, and this is going to tell us if night vision is on or off. Okay, so night vision equals false to begin with because it's currently switched off. Okay, just going to press space so that I can easily see those if I come back to modify this. So under the void start, we're going to now ensure that camera 1 is the camera that's going to start. It's going to start in camera 1 position. So what we're going to say is cam equals cam 1. Okay, so basically that game object is going to be assigned this camera to begin with, and we're going to say cam2 dot game object with a little g dot set active to false. So basically it just switches the camera off to begin with. Now we want the night vision to be switched on when the player simply presses the N key on the keyboard. So we're going to say if input dot get key down, right at the bottom there, so you can actually just select it from there and press enter. Key code, there it is, dot N, capital N. Okay, and obviously we're using the light switch method to check if it's on or off, so that we can use the same key to do both, so we can switch it on and off. So to do that we need a boolean to tell us if it's currently on or off, and that's the night vision, and if it's equal to false then we can switch it on. So to do that we're just simply going to say cam now equals cam2, alright, which is the night vision camera. But before we actually enable that cam2 we need to switch it on. Okay, so we're going to say cam2.game object dot set active to true, and we're then going to say that night vision is true now. And there we go. Alright, so that will basically switch to the night vision camera, and we obviously need to switch it off again. So let's just highlight all of that, Control and C to copy, and then Control and V to paste. We're just simply going to type else there, we can actually delete all of that. So in other words, if night vision isn't equal to false, if it's true, it should do this. So cam2.gameObject.setActive to false, so it switches it off, and I'm just going to take this line, Control and X to delete it, press enter, Control and V to paste. Cam equals cam1 again, so it becomes the main camera. We're going to switch the night vision camera off. Let me just get rid of these spaces, and night vision now equals false, alright, because it's been switched off. Great, so that's all we need in order to change our cameras. Let's just save that, wait for it to compile, and just ensure that there are no errors. So we're not getting any red error messages, which is great. And we can see now, as long as you have FPS controller selected, that under the character controller motor script we now have 2 new slots. It's important to obviously populate these, otherwise the game won't work properly. So camera main is camera 1, and camera night vision is cam 2.